Hello, everybody. My name is Rachel, and I'm the Marketing Director of Caregiver Champion. We're here today with Jeff Weinberg, the President of Caregiver Champion. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good. So we've been enjoying sharing some new information in this new platform, this new way, with some Q&As on a selected topic. So today's topic is a bit of a sad one, but Jeff always has some helpful information to kind of turn that around. So today's topic is dying alone, and how does that affect the patient as well as the family members? So Jeff, how does this topic, this kind of new world that we live in with COVID and more people are dying alone and in nursing homes, how does this affect the family member and their grieving process?
This is a very personal topic for me, and it's somewhat upsetting. I mentioned in the video before about my mother-in-law passing away, and basically passing away to social isolation, and her being really giving up, failure to thrive, and ultimately dying because she just gave up. This time I wanted to continue with this saga and discuss her dying process. And in her dying process, my wife, Dee, got a call from the nurse at the facility that she's in and told her that her mother was actively dying. So Dee said she was going to come in because she wanted to be with her when she was dying. And the nurse said, well, I have to call the administrator and I don't think she's going to let you in. And he called back and said that was the case. However, we requested that she call the doctor, and the doctor then told the administrator that she has to let her in. So because of what's going on with COVID-19, my wife came in, and this was at 1 o'clock in the morning. My wife came in, and she gowned and masked and gloved. They took her temperature before she came into the facility, and she was then able to go in and be with her mother. However, about a half hour later, another nurse came in and said that she had to leave because the administrator was just making an exception because she could see her mother. And so she left about 1:30 in the morning, and at 2:30 in the morning, around that time, her mother passed away. So I think I really feel that not being able to spend those last waking times with your family member is just awful.
Absolutely.
And it's a terrible thing to occur for the relative and for the family member.
Absolutely. And one that you could never really even plan for. Are you aware of this happening with other people?
I am. The Department of Health and the Center for Medicare Services, which is the federal guidelines for nursing homes, does allow for people to be in nursing homes when their loved ones pass away. But for whatever reason, this administrator decided that she wasn't going to allow this. In another situation, actually in the same facility, another person passed away, and she had 3 people who visited her every day, and the administrator said that only one could go in for a little bit of time. And I've talked with some other people who are in other facilities, and their loved one has passed away, and they never even got a chance to see them, even if it was for 20 minutes.
Yeah. How did you deal with this?
How did I deal with this?
You and your family and your wife deal with this challenging grieving process
Well,
and the specifics of it.
obviously, we have a lot of anger about this situation. I am and have been a nursing home administrator for over 25 years, and I've been a hospital administrator. And there hasn't been a time when someone was dying that we haven't had the family come in and spend as not only when the person's dying, but as much time prior to that as could happen. Um, Death is obviously a final act, and what people have to share with each other is highly, highly important, because it may be the last time, but it also may be the first time that someone has told someone without ever having acknowledged it before.
Right.
And so when someone passes away and there's no finality in that your relationship with that person, it really leaves you feeling empty.
Yeah.
And I believe that Dee feels that way right now, because she's angry, she feels empty, and it's hurtful. The other piece to this is that she visited her mother every day
Yeah.
that she was in the nursing home until March 13th, when this whole thing happened. But she doesn't have closure,
Right.
and it makes her very sad.
Is there any advice that you might offer to anyone else who's going through this on how to handle the process and the grieving?
Well, I think um, people need to insist, if this is going to be the isolation issue, that they want to be with their family member.
Right.
The other piece to this, which I didn't mention before, is that typically, and it doesn't matter what religion you are, but I know that we used to have a ministerial association that when someone was dying, we called this group, and they would come in, and it could be last rites, it could be different prayers, and it meant so much to both the dying person as well as the family, because you get your strength from your religion. And even when you're non-religious, usually when you're dying, you want to cover your bases a little bit. But that also didn't occur and hasn't been occurring. And I think people who pass away don't get the benefit of having some kind of prayer or situation for themselves or the family.
Right.
Interestingly enough, the nurse, who was a male nurse, when he called Dee, he said to her, "I'm reading your mother the Bible before you get here."
Interesting.
What a special thing to do,
Yeah.
and what a caring thing to do,
Yeah.
as opposed to someone who had no reason to limit her
Right.
time in that facility,
Right.
but did.
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing this helpful information with people. These are difficult conversations to talk about and approach. So appreciate you sharing such a personal experience that can hopefully help some others. If there are other people that have something similar going on, or just people, loved ones that they care for that are in a nursing home and they could use some advice or help or a peace of mind, we do have a Facebook support group page called Working Caregivers. You can find that under Caregiver Champion on Facebook. You can also go to the website, caregiverchampionadvocate.com. And Jeff is doing free consultations, 20-minute consultations right now with all that's going on in the world. So Jeff, if you want to give them your number, all consultations are private.
So the number to call would be 412-952-6944.
Great. Well, thanks again, Jeff, and thank you to everybody who's listening, and we hope you stay well.
Thanks, Rachel.
Take care.